The blizzard had been raging for 3 hours when Thaddeus Holloway found her, a young woman curled against his barn door like a wounded bird, her thin cotton dress no match for the Montana cold. Her lips were blue, her body trembling so violently her teeth chattered like dry bones. Thad, his weathered face stung by swirling snow, stood frozen, staring at this impossible sight. His cabin was 15 miles from Redemption Ridge, the nearest town, in the middle of nowhere, Montana territory. No horse, no wagon tracks, no footprints the storm hadn't already buried. Just a girl, barely old enough to be married, dying on his doorstep. He pulled his heavy wool coat tighter, stepping closer. Her feet were bloody, her torn stockings useless, dark hair matted with ice. When she looked up, her green eyes held a fear that gripped his chest, not just of the cold, but of him. "Please," she whispered, voice faint against the howling wind, "I won't be any trouble." Thad had been alone on this mountain for 6 years, since the fever took his wife, Martha, and their son, Samuel. 6 years of silence, talking only to his horses and the ghosts that haunted his sleepless nights. He'd grown used to the emptiness, even preferred it. But now, this girl was dying right in front of him. He crouched beside her. "What's your name?" "Celeste," she managed through chattering teeth. "Celeste May Whitmore." Whitmore. The name hit him like a stone. The preacher's family from Redemption Ridge, that strict religious community where women couldn't speak in church and children were beaten for questioning scripture. "How'd you get out here, Celeste May?" Tears mixed with melted snow on her cheeks. "They said I was ruined. Said I brought shame to the family." Her voice broke. "But I never did what they said I did." Thad's gut twisted. He'd heard stories about Redemption Ridge, how girls accused of impropriety were cast out, their families preferring death over dishonor. The wind screamed, and Celeste convulsed with cold, her eyes growing glassy as hypothermia took hold. He had seconds to decide, give her his coat and risk freezing himself, or let her die while he stayed warm. Her eyes met his again, no longer pleading but resigned, ready to die in the snow. That look broke something in him. Without a word, Thad stripped off his coat, the cold hitting him like a fist, and wrapped it around her trembling shoulders. He scooped her up, her weight slight in his arms. "No," she protested weakly, pushing at the coat. "You'll freeze." "Hush," he said, carrying her toward the cabin. "I've got a fire going." He didn't mention he'd used the last of his seasoned firewood that morning. What remained was green wood that would barely burn, giving off more smoke than heat. The cabin was small, one room with a stone fireplace, a rough-hewn table, and a single bed where he'd spent too many nights staring at the ceiling. He set Celeste in a chair by the dying fire and fed the green wood into the flames, which sputtered weakly. "I need to get you out of that wet dress," he said, eyes on the fire. "You'll catch pneumonia." Her face went pale. "Sir, I can't, I'm not going to hurt you." He poked at the struggling flames. "I've got some old clothes. My Martha was about your size." Celeste's breath hitched. "Martha?" "My wife," he said, the words sharp. "She passed 6 years ago." He pulled a simple brown dress from an old trunk, still faintly scented with lavender. Martha had worn it to church every Sunday, saying it made her feel pretty despite its plainness. "Here," he said, placing it on the bed and turning his back. "Get changed. I'll stand by the door." As he faced the wall, listening to the rustle of wet fabric, memories of Martha flooded back, her humming, her laughter, the way she'd brush her long blonde hair. Having another woman in this space felt wrong, yet undeniable. "I'm decent," Celeste said softly. He turned, and his breath caught. Martha's dress fit her perfectly, her dark hair drying by the fire, making her look like a painting, beautiful, but her eyes held gratitude mixed with terror. "Thank you," she whispered. "For the dress. For not leaving me out there." Thad nodded, tending the fire, which was barely holding against the creeping cold. "Tell me what happened," he said, settling across from her. "Why'd your family throw you out?" Celeste's hands twisted in her lap. There was a man, Deputy Carson. He said it, led him on, met him in secret, then refused to honor promises. Her voice shrank. But I never met him anywhere. Never spoke to him except at church. Thad's jaw clenched. He knew Carson, a snake who used his badge to take what he wanted. Your parents believed him over you. He's a respected man. I'm just, their daughter. In Redemption Ridge, a man's word is God's word. The fire hissed, sending up sparks, but the cold was winning. They had maybe an hour of heat left. Thad glanced at the bed, knowing the impossible choice ahead. One bed, one night, and a storm that wouldn't break till morning. To survive, they'd need to share body heat, but how could he suggest that to a girl terrified of men like Carson? The fire died to embers, the cabin walls creaking under the snow's weight. Celeste, in Martha's dress, shivered again, pulling her knees to her chest. The fire's going out, she said quietly, yeah. Thad stared at the embers, calculating. A dozen pieces of green wood left, not enough to last. We need to talk. There's only one bed. To make it through, we'll need to share body heat. Celeste went still. What are you saying? I'm saying we'll freeze if we don't stay warm together. Nothing improper, just survival. She stared at the dying fire, then whispered, how do I know you're not like Carson? The question stung. If I was, I wouldn't be asking. You're half dead, miles from help, at my mercy. The fact we're talking tells you who I am. Her eyes searched his in the dim light. You loved your wife, didn't you? The question caught him off guard. What makes you say that? The way you said her name. The way you touched her dress. She hugged her knees. Like it still hurts. Thad's chest tightened. Martha was everything good in my life. When she died, I thought about following her. Probably would have, if I wasn't such a coward. That's not cowardice. That's grief. Silence fell, the cold deepening. Celeste broke it. If you were in Redemption Ridge, accused of something you didn't do, thrown out to die, what would you want someone to do? I'd want them to see me as human, worth saving. Not an opportunity. She took a shaky breath. Okay. I trust you. They moved to the bed, lying on opposite sides, fully clothed under every blanket he owned. The cold was brutal, seeping through the walls. Celeste's teeth chattered across the gap, her shivering shaking the bed. You're still freezing, Thad said into the darkness. I'm fine, she lied, voice tight, we need to get closer. Right now, we're just two people freezing in the same bed. She went still. I've never been close to a man. In Redemption Ridge, unmarried women don't even shake hands with men. Her innocence stirred something protective in him. I'll move slow. If you want me to stop, say so. He inched closer until he felt her body heat, then gently placed an arm around her waist. She tensed but slowly relaxed as his warmth eased her shivers. Better, he asked. Yes, she whispered. Thank you. They lay like that, her hair smelling of snow and something sweet, fitting against him in a way that felt too right after years alone. Then she spoke, voice muffled. Do you think I'm ruined now? Being here like this? No. Surviving isn't a sin. Anyone who'd judge you for not freezing isn't worth your worry. She was quiet, then asked, what was she like? Martha. She had a laugh that lit up a room. Sang off-key while cooking, made me smile every time. His voice roughened. Samuel was 4 when the fever took him. Smart, always asking questions. They died 3 days apart. Martha just gave up. Celeste's hand found his, her fingers threading through his, a simple gesture that nearly broke him. Then they heard it, hoof beats in the snow, growing closer. Celeste went rigid. Someone's coming. Thad rolled out of bed, grabbing his rifle. Stay down. The hoofbeats stopped. 3 heavy knocks rattled the door. Holloway, a voice shouted. We know you're in there. Thad recognized it, Deputy Carson. What do you want, Carson? We're looking for Celeste Whitmore. Her family's worried sick. Celeste made a bitter sound. Worried about their reputation, she whispered. Haven't seen her, Thad lied. Snowed in all day. That's funny, another voice said, unfamiliar. We followed tracks to your door. Thad cursed silently. The storm must have eased enough to preserve some of Celeste's footprints. Mind if we come in? Carson asked, not a question, I mind plenty. Private property. Don't make this difficult, Carson said. We're just doing our civic duty. Celeste grabbed Thad's arm, nails digging in. They're not here to take me home. Carson said if I showed my face again, he'd arrest me for solicitation. They want me gone. The pieces clicked. Carson had tried to force himself on her, ruined her reputation when she refused, and now he was here to silence her for good. You got a warrant? Thad called. Carson laughed. Don't need one for a welfare check. Open the door, or we'll open it. Thad whispered to Celeste, there's a root cellar under the floorboard by the stove. Hide there. Don't come out, no matter what. She hesitated, then grabbed his face. Don't die for me. I'm not worth it. Yes, you are. She slipped into the cellar as Thad positioned himself by the door, rifle ready. He heard voices planning, then the creak of someone climbing onto the roof. They were surrounding the cabin. Last chance, Holloway. Carson shouted. Thad took a breath, said a prayer to Martha's memory, and kicked open the door, stepping into the storm, rifle raised. Snow stung his face as he faced Carson, flanked by 2 men, Ezra Whitmore, Celeste's father, and a hired gun with a hard stare. Well, Carson said, hand on his pistol. Mighty unfriendly greeting. Mighty strange time for a visit, Thad replied. Most folks wait for the storm to pass. Carson's eyes flicked to the cabin. We're looking for the Whitmore girl. Her father's worried about her soul. Thad glanced at Ezra, seeing rage, not worry. Funny way of showing concern, dragging her out in this weather. She's brought shame on us, Ezra said coldly. Better she face God's judgment. The only sin I see is a father letting his daughter freeze to save his reputation. The hired gun shifted, and Thad swung the rifle toward him. I wouldn't. Carson smiled, teeth yellowed. You're outnumbered, Holloway. Hand her over, and nobody gets hurt. Funny thing about numbers, Thad said. I only need 1 bullet for you. Question is, which of your friends is willing to die for your lies? Lies? Carson's voice turned dangerous. You calling me a liar? I'm calling you a coward who tried to force himself on an innocent girl, then ruined her when she refused. A man who hides behind a badge while doing the devil's work. Carson's face reddened. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Thad's finger tightened on the trigger. Why are you so eager to make sure Celeste never talks? The hired gun hesitated, glancing at Carson. Thad saw his chance. You, he said to the gunman. You know what Carson's about. You really want to die for him? The man's eyes flickered with doubt. Ezra stepped forward, voice shaking. She's my daughter, Holloway. You've no right to interfere. No right? Thad's voice was steel. I've every right to protect an innocent girl from a lynch mob. The storm roared, snow blurring the men's outlines. Carson's hand twitched toward his pistol. Thad's heart pounded, knowing one wrong move could end it all. Last chance, Carson, he said. Walk away, or this ends in blood. Carson's smile vanished. You're a dead man, Holloway. Thad braced himself, ready to fire, when a shot rang out, not from Carson, but from the roof. The hired gun yelped, clutching his shoulder, and chaos erupted. Thad dove for cover as Carson drew his pistol, firing into the snow. Another shot came from the roof, and Ezra screamed, falling to his knees. Thad rolled behind a woodpile, heart racing. Someone else was out there, someone not with Carson. He peered through the storm, spotting a figure on the roof, rifle glinting. A voice called, "Carson, you're done." It was Jonah, the town blacksmith, a man Thad knew as honest but quiet. Why he was here, Thad didn't know, but he wasn't questioning it. "Jonah!" Thad shouted. "Cover me!" Jonah fired again, pinning Carson down. Thad sprinted to the cabin, slamming the door behind him. "Celeste," he called, prying open the cellar. She climbed out, eyes wide with fear. "Who's out there?" she asked. "Carson, your father, a hired gun, and Jonah, the blacksmith. He's on our side." Her face crumpled. "My father, he wants me dead." Thad gripped her shoulders. "Listen to me. You're not ruined. You're worth saving. I'm getting you out of here." Gunfire cracked outside, Jonah trading shots with Carson's men. Thad grabbed his spare rifle and handed it to Celeste. "Can you shoot?" She nodded, hands shaking. "Taught myself in secret." "Good. Stay low. We're making a run for the barn." They slipped out the back, snow blinding them. The barn was 50 yards away, but it felt like miles. Shots rang out, and Thad fired back, keeping Celeste behind him. They reached the barn, barricading the door. Inside, his horses snorted, spooked by the gunfire. "Jonah's buying us time," Thad said, saddling his fastest horse. "We ride for town, find the sheriff. Carson's badge won't protect him if we get the truth out." Celeste climbed onto the horse, clutching the rifle. Thad mounted behind her, his arm steadying her. "Hold on," he said, kicking the horse into the storm. The ride was brutal, snow blinding, wind cutting. Gunfire faded behind them, but Thad knew Carson wouldn't give up. Redemption Ridge was their only hope. If they could reach it before the cold or Carson's bullets claimed them. As they rode, Celeste leaned back against him, her voice barely audible. "Why are you doing this for me?" Thad thought of Martha, of Samuel, of the man he used to be. "Because someone has to stand up for what's right. And because you remind me there's still good worth fighting for." The storm roared, but Thad rode on, determined to see Celeste live to see another sunrise.